Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason. We've had some fun over the last couple days taking a look at some of those super epic modded matches, so I figured today we'll bring things down a little bit, have a nice dulcet, relaxing experience as we take a look at Coombe Valley, well known as one of the most toxic maps in the entire map pool. Not even exactly sure why, it just happens to have that reputation. So, hopefully we keep things nice, keep things cool, keep things casual today as we take a look at what these two teams have to offer. So, spawning all the way over here on the eastern side, representing the blue team is an Armada commander, goes by the name of Trims. Coming in at a whopping 33 true skill here, going to be representing the blue team, showing us what he's got in the backline here, probably going to be going straight up the tech ladder, hopefully going to be getting some of those T3 units out very quickly here. Below 12 minutes, usually what you're aiming for as far as getting ready for that tech lead. All the way on the other side of the map here, representing the red team on the western side, spawning on the southern mountain over here. It's going to be the commander that goes by the name of Hexu, or maybe Hexu, either way. Red commander here coming in at 26 true skill, little silver tail to the chevron there as well, indicating plenty of experience here to go toe-to-toe with the blue. Red leader going to be going up against Fructose here on the blue side, the lavender commander. Looks like the blue team is in a bit of an unconventional spot. Usually you have someone spawn over here and someone spawn over here. One of them will go air, one of them will go into eco. In this case, not the case. As you can see, the blue team has spawned in a bit of an asymmetric position here. So it is going to mean that at the very least, Born Fram, green player here, is going to have quite a few more metal extractors because presumably they're going to claim these three, they're going to claim these three, and then they're going to claim these three here. So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe that'll mean there'll be an air lead. Maybe it'll mean that they eventually will be able to produce more units overall. Not sure exactly. We're just going to have to sit here and find out. Now, battling it out on the front line. Guess I was looking at the indicator for the tick there, the ball. Balling it up on the front line here. We do have Smokey and T-Bomb 56, the hot pink commander and the maroon commander, both of which going to be pushing forward right now and claiming all these metal extractors. These are naked expansions though, so just a tick or two or three will blast down these metal extractors really quickly, leaving yourself to open to some very, very quick and very, very efficient trades right there. So you have to be a little bit careful about that. There are units across the map though, so really nicely done by T-Bomb. Getting these units across the field to do a little bit of scouting. A couple of grunts that were produced here. Do manage to snipe some ticks. Very nice. Going to shut down some of that scouting potential here for Fructose. Plus, those grunts obviously can be used for a little bit of run-by potential. Just like the ticks over here that are moving into the backline. This is really nice to see. Sometimes these games can be won in the first couple of minutes just by getting a couple of these early units across the map and doing enough damage with them. Let's see if these three ticks have what it takes. There we go. Going to start blasting away a solar panel as well as a metal extractor over here. Definitely well worth it. 150 metal for that solar panel, so definitely well worth it to bring that bad boy down. We don't get the metal extractor here, so that's a bit of a bummer. Going to keep moving along here. There is a grunt to go try and protect the rest of these assets, so at the very least these will be cleaned up here, I do believe. Man, those ticks so hard to catch right here. Nice, we get two of them. And I do believe this pawn will be in position here to clean up the last one. Oh, it just barely doesn't have it. Just barely doesn't have it. There we go. Finally cleans up the last tick. And with that, I think it will be the last of the aggression from T-Bomb. It's dangerous, though. Yeah, Rover's in the backline now. Counter-aggression sent across the map here to try and do some damage. Very, very dangerous. Oftentimes can mean that, you end up taking a whole lot more damage than you actually end up doing. And that can be a huge problem. Hot Pink Commander definitely overextended here. I mean, you can imagine a single grunt running across here takes 1, 2, 3 metal extractors, maybe even 4. There's a lot of ticks out again, but man, grunts really don't care about ticks. As long as you have 2 or 3 grunts together, yeah, those ticks are not really going to bother them. There we go. One of those metal extractors goes down. Yeah, I can't help but feel like this early, extremely fast, aggressive opener right here, although it means that T-Bomb is going to have a whole lot more metal sitting around in the bank, it also is going to mean that they're very, very low on energy and other units in the front lines. Yeah, there you go. Grunts pushing far forward here, just a little bit overextended, yeah. The Priest Touch, the brown player here for the red team, yeah, not going to be able to keep up with the expanded pace, it seems like. 8 true skill. A couple of chevrons, but 8 true skill, so, you know, maybe a little newer to the game. Not exactly sure how quick they should be playing this here. Yeah, I'm not sure if tick production is really the way, though. It's kind of a metal issue, though, or energy issue, though, yeah. Despite having a bunch of these T1 solar panels, we're still going to need about double that many before we actually start producing T1 units at a pace. Going for a little bit too much build power here. This is just crippling damage. Yeah, that advanced solar panel manages to stay alive, just barely. Just barely. If this advanced solar panel comes up, it could be huge, huge, huge for the red team right here, especially for the front line. If it goes down, though, it's going to be a whole lot of trouble right now. We desperately need some of these guys to start working on more energy power right now. Wind turbines, not particularly great on this map, but anything would be better than nothing right now. Smoky rebuilding some of these metal extractors, but man, there's just a whole bunch of them that aren't claimed. These are all 3.5s, or a lot of them anyways, are 3.5s out here, so they're very, very valuable. This is risky. Yeah, very low energy right now for the hot pink player. Often very difficult to claw yourself out of that situation. Looks like advanced solar panels are going to be the pathway out of this this problem here. I don't hate it, but it does mean you're going to be really low on energy for a good long while, just because, yeah, those advanced solar panels take a whole lot of energy too, so it can be really, really tricky. At this point, T-Bomb, the commander anyway, has been completely surrounded. We have these thugs firing away at the hot pink commander. He doesn't even have energy for a D-gun now. Stinky B does not know that. Can't afford to risk moving your units in too close if he does have the energy for the D-gun right there, but fortunately for the purple commander, it's going to cost a little bit too much for T-Bomb right now. Oh, yep, these are paused, so they're not draining all the energy right now. I think it's a smart decision, allowing that hot pink commander to fire, but yeah, there's no choice for T-Bomb. He's just going to have to get off the front line right here. So much metal being denied, though. Yeah, that's a 3.5 there, a 3.5 there. Both of these metal extractors weren't taken. That was a 5.5 combined in total. Shuriken out on the front line are quite nice, but it only takes a small anti-air turret in order to actually get that properly defended against there. So I don't really even think those Shuriken are going to have too much effect here, or at the very least, the blue team shouldn't have too much of a trouble shutting that down. Fructose did manage to claim this island over here. That's quite nice. Hexu moving forward slowly but steadily. We've got a grindy army right here. We've got the aggravators. We've got the aggravators, not agitators, aggravators. Slowly but surely whittling away some of this T1 static defense. Not bad. Fructose not going to be upset about that with all this metal that's going to be coming in. Oh, we should definitely claim this metal extractor over here, though. Shuriken coming up all over the place. Hey, you know what? They're going to jump on top of all this, and there really isn't any anti-air. Yeah, you know what? Oh, big commander trade right there. Huge commander trade for Rox Manab, the Cyan player, goes up against the Priest Touch, and both of those commanders do end up going down. Way more of the army was lost right there for the brown commander, though, so that's definitely going to hurt if the blue commander manages to get something out on the field to reclaim all of that. A construction, well, not bot, a construction vehicle, really the only thing that counts. Janice going to easily clean up that grunt right there. Very nicely done. Heavy laser tower coming up here as well. Always valuable, especially if you're playing with the Ragnarok balance tweak. Makes those heavy laser towers quite a bit more viable, but even in the base game, not a terrible, terrible position. Okay, a couple of air constructors actually going to come out here to eat. Okay, I did not see that coming, but that's actually a really nice play right there. Yeah, very, very nicely done by the yellow commander, realizing there's not really a great way for any of my teammates to go out there, whoops, sorry about that, to go out there and eat up all of this metal right here, so I'll just send the constructors forward, and they'll have a grand old time eating up those commanders, feasting on the corpses right there, throwing back, I think it'll be about 50 or so, yeah, 65 metal per second right there. Air is finally pulled. Oh, they missed their first volley, though. Oh, man. The airplane's absolutely throwing right now. I think if those airplanes had shot down those constructors, they would have denied at least about maybe 600 metal. Not the case, though. Oh, and another big catch over here. These are the plays that we need right now. The red team definitely on the back foot. This is exactly the kind of catch that you absolutely need if you want to trade out efficiently here. Tons and tons of these bots go down. Now, this is nice. Taking care of a bad situation by reclaiming a whole bunch of the metal that was lost right there in that engagement. Still a little bit of metal tied up in the wreckages over here, but overall, most of that metal all went back to the yellow player. Really nicely done. Wow, talk about advanced solar panels. We're going heavily into the advanced solar panels. I guess we know where that metal went. Should get some energy converters, definitely. If you're gonna be going that hard into the advanced solar panels, you might as well get the energy converters. A solid, steady income of energy based on your energy converters, definitely very valuable. Well, the thug numbers are pretty intense right now. I'd love to see some res bots with this. 2 or 3 res bots to patch all these thugs up makes them essentially immortal, and you can go for basically an unlimited push right here. Yeah, you can imagine these thugs going down and just getting right back up 5 or 6 seconds later by those res bots could definitely be very, very difficult. It's one of the most common Cortex pushes in the T1 stage. Definitely very, very effective for what it's worth. Yeah, I think Stinky B could afford to be a little bit more aggressive here. I think with this many thugs out on the field, I mean, how many is that in total? This is selecting all the thugs known to mankind right now. We'll try and just select the ones that Stinky B owns. There we go. I think I just about got it. 26 thugs. And that's a fair amount of metal too, 3,640 metal. Definitely well worth it to try and trade that out for something. You gotta remember the T1 units that are on the field, they're just gonna be trading out as efficiently as T1 can. And as soon as your opponent gets T2 on the field, that T1 sort of becomes useless, a little bit of a waste of metal, so you gotta be really careful about that. Getting those traded out quick, sooner rather than later, quick as possible, definitely gonna be quite valuable. There we go. Looks like we're starting to make a march here. Again, without the resbots, this is only a loss. You need those resbots to either eat up the metal of your fallen troops or to resurrect them and keep the push sustained. Not going for those resbots really turns the tide of this, and with so many Rocketeers coming out now for T-Bomb 56, he's just been building Rocketeers here. With so many of them built well, yeah, in mass now, I think there's not really going to be any way that these thugs can push too far forward here. You can imagine if all these thugs were getting up and getting back into the fight, this push could continue back into the base of the hot pink player, but because those thugs weren't supported by any sort of resurrection unit, just no chance that they're going to be able to continue that push. So many of them are scuffed up and damaged pretty badly here too. It's tricky. It's very tricky to micro, but it is possible, and it's one of the things that I would love to see incorporated into basically any Cortex's toolbox. Nice D-gun right there by Misty Fire. Catches a whole bunch of those tanks. Very good. Looks like Soli is getting ready for that sort of a push too. Here, let me just invert the screen really quick so we can take a look at this with a little bit less abstraction. Or obstruction, rather. Yeah, a couple of Rocketeers. Looks like most of them have been microed back here because they're very low health here. Nice to see. There's a bit of a controversy I saw on Reddit about whether the micro or the macro to pull back your injured units was cheating or not. Personally, I don't think so. I think any tweak units that's made available to anyone is pretty much fair game. I wouldn't want to see it in a competition though, just because I think competition should be kept strictly vanilla. Well, that's not entirely true. Let me clarify. If there's a competition and they want to play with some funky rules like that, that's fine. They just need to make sure everybody is in on it. Equal access makes for fair play. That's what we're all about here. Is the EMP rework enabled? Doesn't look like it. Looks like those units were just moonwalking. Man, these medium tanks have been holding the line though. So brutal that those medium tanks are holding this entire push right here. Far inferior amount of medium tanks holding against all these bots, and it's just because they're clumped up, so those medium tanks take just a slightly efficient enough trade. You can see there's a little bit of AoE on their attacks. Just barely enough to keep those bots back. Very nicely done, yeah. Metal extractor is going down right here, so don't get me wrong, this is a tremendous advantage for the blue team right here. Especially with all the metal that's being reclaimed and sent back right now. Shuriken shut down the sprinter push, by the way, over here. Misty Fire went for a T2 transition, or maybe was just handed a console. I can see that being the case here too. No, actually does have full-blown T2 production. All right, nicely done. Are we ready for Oh, interesting. Okay, this was not what I predicted. Blue player has gone into air, but also into T2 vehicles here. Born Fram also going into air. So 2 air players right now for the blue team. There's some of those bombers, by the way, coming out here, trying to connect with some of the units on the front line. I'm not sure I'm a fan. I think they might have found more value going after some of these economies up on the hills. Oftentimes, these are really, really easy to target with bombers. Loads of gunships coming out, too, I have noticed. The Banshees are a strange kind of unit. They're very, very valuable if they can find exactly the right fight to take. And other than that, they're just so frail that it's really, really difficult to justify them. There they go. Blasted down in just a couple of shots from those T1. T2 Fiends do come out, and none too soon. They just about saved the day right here. These hot pink, powder pink defenses, rather. Gonna be saved by the Fiends, blasting away a lot of that T1. Wow. Cannot believe that Warden stood right there. 36 health remaining over here. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, those Fiends completely saved the day right there. Nicely done by the Orange Commander. Getting reinforcements on the line just in time to save his teammate right here. Huge army pushing in right now that we desperately need some sort of address to this. A spy bot wouldn't be the end of the world here, but I think these Fiends are going to be more than enough to clean up all of this quite nicely here. Might take some damage on the Maroon Commander's base just because of the fact that there's so many units firing. But the Janus connections are good too. You know what? Just in the nick of time, these Fiends do hit the battlefield here. The lab goes down, the vehicle lab goes down, but I don't think that's going to be the end of the world here. Yeah, those Fiends are just too efficient to deal with right now. Even though there's hounds out on the field, they're not going to be able to contend against those Fiends that are just too quick to deal with. And there we go, just like that. That entire T1 push is cleaned up by the early T2 units that are sent out here. Oh, Mystifier in some trouble. Yeah, Mystifier definitely in some trouble. Thugs pushing in from this angle. We've got the Rocketeers firing as well. Down goes the commander right in front of T-Bomb. A little bit of a traumatizing experience, but that commander shakes off his shell shockage and gets back to reclaiming a whole lot of these wreckages. I definitely prioritize the commander wreck there, but either way, gonna eat up a whole lot of this juicy metal, getting himself and his fellow commanders back up on their feet. Can the T2 transition right now from the red team be enough to save them, though? There's already some T2 bots coming out right here for the electric green, the cyan green, the neon green commander over here, otherwise known as Mystifier. Sheldon Ball being built up over here. Very frustrating to play against because no matter how much you push into it, it just seems to retreat out of your grasp until you get up to T2. It means that the most efficient trade right here is just to walk all these units back to your base and reclaim them all. I mean, we're talking about easily 4,000 metal before any of these went down right here. I mean, you can imagine eating all that up, turning it into a T2 laboratory and the beginnings of a T2 economy, starting up some T2 metal extractors, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you're going to be able to make a T2 transition extremely quickly. Not going to be the case here, though, as we watch more and more of these units be blasted away, basically trading out T1 defenses for an entire T1 army. And you can see just how efficient that's been. If we turn on the superior metal vision, 2,500 or so metal lying in ruin on the field over here. The Shuriken contributing greatly as well, providing not only vision, but also paralysis, of course, helping a lot of these units hit their shots quite accurately. Commander goes down up on the northern side, just barely caught that out of the peripheral, but that is going to be the Tan Commander solely going down right there. Going to be forced to pull back the T1 units, just not going to cut it anymore as we step a little bit slowly, but eventually into a full-blown T2 battle. Looks like some of those T2 units were handed out right here to the Hot Pink Commander, who is a Armada Commander wielding a whole bunch of fiends. We're definitely got to be thinking about going into T2. Certainly, Smokey has the right idea here. Going into a T2 vehicle lab, definitely using a lot of this reclaim to fund all of it. Getting those metal extractors up as well, going to be extremely high priority. Sprinters taking down some of the metal extractors over here. Hexu cloaking the commander, getting it into position. Oh, killer accidentally deguns down his own metal extractor. I think the idea was that he was going to lose it anyway, so might as well go for whatever you can there. Decent deguns here, but doesn't manage to catch every last sprinter, so it is certainly a little bit of an issue. Sumo's, though, gonna be perfect for cleaning up all the rest of it, and just like that, Red Commander holds a little bit of a run by right there. T-Bomb controlling a massive army, but doing it well. Easy to over-micro this army, right? And then you accidentally send your fiends to their doom while your Rocketeers don't quite have the opportunity to support them with that long-range rocket fire, artillery fire, support fire. A bunch of Mauser built over here, firing away at whatever they can. There's also lightning tanks here, so we're not going to be able to outspam the Mauser. Makes this a very, very good composition. Strong. Very strong. And just like that, the T1 army of Soli going to evaporate. Lightning turrets doing their very best over here in this part of the map. Yeah, you know what? These retreating units are going to trade out efficiently enough. Whoa, looks like another commander went down right there. Excellent snipe right there. Yeah, the red team turning this using the metal of the bodies of their fallen opponents right here. Nice little snipe. T-Bomb actually is the commander that went down. I thought that was a blue commander, but it is a team red commander. Either way, getting that metal back into the economy of the red team, though, could be quite useful. A lot of this T1 dies. And yeah, those Sheldon are going to have a field day picking all the rest of this apart. Sheldon on the high ground here, blasting away at a whole lot of these units. Sheldon don't do a tremendous amount of damage individually, but once they get into their ball, it can be extremely difficult to deal with them. Geothermal goes down right here. Fiends, they work pretty great against Sheldon just because of the fact that they can oftentimes close the distance before the Sheldon can kill them, and then of course they explode when they die. Makes for a very, very efficient trade. It's time that we lose the Rocketeers, though. We do have the T1 Resbots up now. Surprised we haven't seen a T2 Constructor handed over to this commander right now. These 3.5s definitely need to be upgraded to T2 Metal Extractors. I'm guessing, yeah, we're well into that over here. Well, actually, we're still missing T2 for Stanky B as well. It's weird when you see a T1 army going up against another T1 army this late into a game. Feels like, you know, watching some inappropriate battle, right? They just completely imbalanced. Of course, that imbalance is baked into the game. T1 is not supposed to beat T2. Likewise, T2 and T1 are never supposed to beat T3. But it is always impressive when a team that is not on T2 manages to outplay a team that is on that is on T2. There we go. Resbot's going out into the field to reclaim a whole bunch of this. It's the only thing keeping the Hot Pink Commander in the game right now is that all the resources that the opponent is throwing at them, yeah, they can just go ahead and reclaim and fund their own units with. Eventually, all this was cleaned up as well. There's plenty of bodies over here for the Resbots to eat up just as well. The Advanced geothermal starts up here, which is also very nice. A very easy way to get your energy economy well up to scale for the T2 era in the game. If you think about it, it's, I think about half the cost of a, hold on, let's just double check this really quick. It's about half the cost of a, 1500, so less than half the cost of an advanced, less than half the cost of a fusion reactor, however, more energy production. So, above everything else, it is extremely, extremely efficient to get those advanced geothermals up and running. Risky, sure, but very, very efficient. Sheldon Ball is looking pretty impressive right there, too, for Sully, so at the very least, I can say that, that's gonna be nice for holding the line, especially against an ET1. Rocket Spiders climb up this hill. The Red Army moving backwards here. No long-leggedness here to the Red Army, so certainly going to be a little bit threatened by those spiders. Basically forced back to the nearest open flat ground, and that's going to be this little choke point area right here. Luckily, there's some defenses set up. Unfortunate, the Pinpointer and the Nemesis are both up on the front line here. Definitely prone to snipage there. Little run-by of sprinters here. They get into OG Denson's base. Oh, they really start clogging up the gears of OG Denson. Yeah, that Powder Pink Commander is definitely feeling the burn of those sprinters as they get all over in the guts of this base. Taking down whatever they can here. Doing a whole lot of damage at the very, very least. If we can snipe the labs, that'll be ideal. So far, very annoying, but haven't actually killed a whole lot. It's the problem with sprinters. They're not, unlike the fiends, they're relatively low damage, so they really, really rely on their speed to be able to outpace a whole lot of the things that would otherwise kill them. Shurikens eventually are pulled to deal with all this, and that being said, I don't think that's the end of the world. I think OG Denson can definitely recover here. We've got a couple of these advanced solar panels, produce a couple of res bots, and I think eventually this will be all cleaned up quite nicely here. Now following that with a little bit of a push from some of these hounds would be fabulous. Obviously sending in the hounds while the sprinters have vision over there, going to allow your hounds to fire away from much longer range. This is a nightmare though. T2 units are slowly but steadily coming out, but Mauser are not what we need on the fronts right now. We need lightning tank after a lightning tank, and we just don't have it, and it might be a little bit too slow at this point. Yeah, those medium tanks and the grunts and everything else, the Sheldon as well, start firing away at that T2 lab for Smokey. That commander is forced to retreat off the front line as there's virtually nothing that he can do at this point. More and more fiends being redirected in this direction, but I don't know if they're going to be able to clean up the mess that's already been left over here. Construction turrets eating up that T2 lab as quick as they can. I don't know if that's exactly what Smokey was hoping for. Commander retreating all the way to the back over here. Oh, there's actually a second facility over here, a backup facility. Maybe anticipating losing this earlier on and decided it'd be money better spent just using it instead, building another lab over there. I don't particularly hate it, just a little unconventional. Certainly building your economy over here and then putting your base over your production over here makes a lot of sense. Try and detach your base from your economy just so that when you when your economy inevitably pops, you can still rebuild from a little bit of your production that you still have. That's not a novel idea. Definitely don't claim credit for coming up with that idea, but certainly has been effective in the past. Tick spam, wonderful for these Mauser. Does wonders for their line of sight, allowing them to blast away at these even T2 units with extreme efficiency. There's oftentimes a lot of complaints about the Tick being the most powerful unit in the game, and part of that is because per their cost, they do, I believe it is, numerically, the highest damage to metal ratio in the game. But if you really ask me, you want my 2 cents on the issue, I think it's just the fact that they can scout so efficiently and so effectively is the reason why they're so strong. Certainly you could take both of those as equally correct answers, but I would probably say the scouting is much, much more important. Scouting oftentimes the determinant of who wins the games. Scouting and pushing just like we see right now, and just like that, Rowlem, it's really a combined force over here. We do have a whole bunch of different partners playing their role right now. A whole bunch of units pushing all in here. It's such a strange mixture of units too. We've got T1 mixed in with T2. Everyone and their mother contributing to this fight. You know what, those Shiva, oh my goodness, those Shiva just in time to blast away those T1. Exactly the unit you want for clearing out that massive ball of T1 right there. Just a couple of shells from those Shiva disintegrate that T1 army, but I can't help but wonder if already too much damage has been done. Mauser, as well as Sprinter, as well as Lightning Tank, all take down the backup base here for Smokey. Shiva coming out are going to be great for stabilizing on this, but is the red team going to be able to rebuild quick enough? I just don't know. And goes the advanced metal extractor right there. And sprinters are cleaned up. Wasps up in the air. Definitely powerful for cleaning up any of those leaks. Tick's going to be wonderful at making these Shiva shoot themselves in their own toes. Always something you have to be very careful about. I think that attack has triggered an all-in right here from the red commander, who's realized it's basically now or never. Fructose commander, a little bit far forward here, will be blasted away by a lot of those Sheldon. Yep. Those Sheldon are granted perfect vision of, well, any unit. They're going to be able to waterfall it down to death. Arbiters trying desperately to blast away these spider bots, but don't really have the right position for it. Well, not all of them anyway. Trying their very hardest, but not quite effective quite yet. Looks like the brown player was wiped out of this game as well here. You can see the remains of the base do exist over here, but at the very least still sticking through with it, trying to rebuild in the backline here, but man, is it going to be tough for that commander. Getting back into these games is always tough. Always a bit of a trick. I think it's definitely worth it though. Comeback stories can definitely be the best of stories. Demons being pumped out here does mean we have the extra units enabled. The, not extra units, we have the, oh, what are they called? The release candidate units. That's the name for them. Always forget with how often we run the live streams with wacky settings, all the different types of settings. The demons are in multiple different settings, so especially those ones are tricky. But yeah, the release candidate units are the ones you're really looking at here. Fat Boy's coming out. Definitely not ideal for cleaning up all of these grunts right here. You want welders. Welders in mass right now solves this entire issue. They shut down the grunts. They're not quick enough to deal with their Sheldon, but they're sturdy enough to deal with them. The Fat Boys are great against the Sheldon because they can actually hit them, but only when you have vision. And unfortunately for the blue players, he just does not right now. Shiva having a wonderful effect right here on the front lines. Blasting away with those heavy plasma cannons. And there's the demon. Roasting and toasting all those T1 medium tanks. Absolutely nothing that can stand in the way from the T1 era that's going to manage to push back hardly at all against that demon. Demons are a bit of an interesting one. They're essentially a T3 fiend. They're extremely high DPS, extremely high speed, you know, comparative anyway to T3. Nice Deegan right there by Rowland. One of the most effective ways to deal with that. Interestingly, didn't remove the debris right there. That's a bit odd, but anyways. Yeah, those demons, they do tremendous DPS, but the one thing that they are lacking a little bit in is HP. Now, that is relative, again, so we're dealing with a T3 unit, so it's going to have way more HP than anything out of the T1 era, but still very, very squishy in comparison. You can see just blasting away those sumos alongside a lot of these fiends. Sheldon, rather. Sorry, not Sheldon. Shiva. Getting all my units mixed up there as the commander for the purple player has gone down. Trying desperately to degun this, I do believe, but not managing to. That demon being the absolute crusher that it needed to be. Blasting apart so much of that front line right there. Absolutely tearing through. Eventually goes down, but I think it's already gotten more than enough effect. A whole bunch of Marauder are coming out at this point. Marauder being pumped out of the T3 base here from Mystifier. Looks like the red player, sorry, the blue player. The red blue team leader. The blue team leader goes by the name of Trims. Gonna be starting to pump out some of those Thors here. Thor's so expensive and so slow, it'll take forever to get those on the front line, but if there's one thing the blue team can afford, at least right now, it's to spend a little time getting some of those very high quality units out on the field. But no, I don't like this. Gunship's going in on this facility over here, but there's tons of anti-air, not to mention fighters as well. Oh, yeah, that really stings. Losing so many of those wasps, essentially for free, that really burns. Not at all the trade that I think the yellow commander was looking for, and that's a lot of defense as well, getting blasted right out of the sky right there. Karganath are out, and those are lovely. You've seen the last video, because I know you watch every single video. The Karganath, definitely a very, very powerful unit, especially once you build them up in mass. They can be really dangerous. This is nice. Ambassador with 3 silver bars firing away over here. There's a stealth tank providing a lot of vision. Relaying back what's over here. This Ambassador going to be great for dealing with that advanced geothermal, by the way. More and more of those Sheldon getting blasted away. Arbiter's firing on that hillside over here. They must think that that's where those missiles are coming from. Not exactly the case here, but still not a bad usage of the Arbiter. Yeah, Demon also going to have absolutely no problem with ticks, like Sheldon, like the Shiva do. They both start with a sh, so I guess I get them confused sometimes. Sumo's having a lovely effect against these fat boys here. Just a sturdy enough unit to really stand up to the fat boy, who does not put out a devastating amount of DPS. They put out one big spike of damage, but after that it's really, really minuscule. In fact, it's non-existent, you could even say. Double pulsar over here does make this a little scary to push into, I have to admit. Those T3 units have got to feel a second thought at the very least when they're gonna start heading in that direction. Those pulsars can blast away almost any T3 unit in 1 or 2 volleys. Marauder, Shiva, Karganeth, all of those will fall to just a couple of those. Big old Marauder wave is built up over here, and you know what? These Marauder could do huge amount of damage over here. There's not really anything that could shut them down. The Scorpion turrets are going to hurt. Might take down 2 or 3 of them, but we've already got up to 11 Marauder at this point. Certainly well enough to punch through this area. Love the shield over here, by the way. That's an excellent little addition to make it very hard to kill this plasma battery. Yeah, Cerberus. Karganeth have been handed over to this player over here. Love that, by the way. That's an excellent bit of teamwork from the well, the orange commander handing out those units to the red commander so that he can deal with this little section on the southern side of the map quite easily over here. Would love to see the same thing happen right now for Soli, handing over a couple of Karganeths so that they can handle the mountain over here as well. I would just love to see that. That's the kind of teamwork that absolutely makes the dream work. Meanwhile, an absolute Aphis addict over here, Trim's going for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Aphises. 6 Aphis Thor production right now. Yeah, they're going to be coming out pretty quick here. We've got 4 on the front line already, and 5th one making its way out as well. 6 will join the battle eventually, but not quite yet. Alright, Marauder decided to march forward. Ooh, yeah, no, don't go for the Geo. I think you just want to go straight into the base. Oh, Ogdenson in a huge position, though. Ogdenson in a really huge position, though. Do it, do it, do it. Huge D-guns right there. Cleaves apart the entire Marauder ball. Very, very nice. Scorpions and geothermal battery going to be more than enough to clean all that up. Beautifully done right there by the pink commander. Paying attention, keeping the commander in just the right spot, and it's going to result in a safe base for at least a little while longer. That absolutely could have swung this game right here if those Marauder had spread out across the face of this base and just ran on past it, dealing damage to whatever they could find in the middle. But not going to be the case here as those Marauder get blasted apart completely efficiently. Very nicely done. Now, Resbots in mass here from the Seafoam Commander are going to be patching together a whole bunch of these Shiva on the front lines. Love to see that. We've already got some Demons up and running as well. Going to fortify the T3 forces here for the blue team, and just like that, they've got themselves an appropriate T3 army as well. Smokey with some nice Deegans over here as well. Shuts down a whole bunch of those bulls that are otherwise extremely difficult to deal with. The Sumos would have been alright, but not perfect. They would have struggled a little bit, especially if those bulls just kept on trucking by. They can certainly have enough, they certainly do have enough HP to actually deal with that sort of a thing here. I think any amount of push right now from the blue team would definitely do some good work, especially these Thors over here. I hope we're going to move them into position to push with them. If you're going to build that many Thors, you might as well use them. Meanwhile, Karganeth having an absolute field day, tearing through this area of the map. Luckily, the Hornets up in the sky are going to be wonderful for dealing with a lot of those T3 units. They're essentially specialized for dealing with those super heavy units like that. Karganeth moving up the hillsides here, though. Very scary. And there they go, just like that. Those Karganeth do manage to sneak into the base right here for the Lavender player. Going to mean that their build power goes down right here. No more fat boys will be built. Beamer turrets trying their very best over here, but the Karganeth do not care. They need to be split up a little bit. Karganeth do need a little bit of room in order to fire effectively. Oh no, they're not split. Ugh. Not exactly what you might consider the most efficient Karganeth play I've ever seen, but already this entire base has gone down, so what does it really matter? Efficiency here and there. It's only a couple of slightly negative numbers here on the back of an otherwise extremely successful push, shutting down effectively all of the resistance over here on this side. Going to mean that, at least for the time being, this economy is all for nothing until some more production comes up and running. Wasp's having a field day, blasting away this Thor. Exactly where you want those T2 Cortex gunships. Cleaning up Thors is a very, very efficient way to use those gunships here. There are some fighters out for the blue player, so I wonder if we shouldn't send those in. The problem is you send those fighters in against the gunships, and the enemy fighters will absolutely destroy you. Gotta be so careful. Yeah. Just too many T2 fighters right there, and just like that, you can see one of those Thors is about to go down to the Wasp's fire. Really unfortunate way to lose Thor. Definitely feels inefficient. Oh, look at that. In fact, feeling confident enough with those gunships that, in fact, we're going to send them across the map here to try and find a suitable target. And a suitable target there is indeed here. This very, very exposed economy over here. These gunships are going to have a field day wrecking havoc over here. Now, the Thors have pushed by as well, so I just want to showcase this real quick. Those Thors have made it all the way past the front line and into the back. The economy over here for the Lavender player is about to pop, but right on cue, a counterattack from these Thors is going to break on into the back line right here, popping the economy for River Run, the yellow commander. The one pumping out those gunships, by the way, which were effectively the only efficient way of dealing with these Thors that the red team had. Fusion reactors pop. Oh, the gunships are still not dealt with. They find another APHIS production facility over here. Oh my goodness, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it. Well, they've got to get it. There we go. APHIS's do pop indeed for Mystifier, shutting down that T3 production over there. Meanwhile, the Hornets over on this side still working on those Thors, but man, it feels like those Thors have gone on an absolute tear here. Because they have. 3 of these Thors split off and gone in this direction, have shut down the entire T3 economy right here for Sully, including a advanced fusion reactor. We've got a commander death over here as the T3 continues to push in as well. Those Wasps trying desperately to melt this Thor down, but it just takes so long. Those Thors are so beefy. So difficult to deal with those without a commander to degun them. These resurrected demons now sent out to the front line. Actually, some of them are brand new. Got a sparkling, shiny new coat of paint, and other ones have seen battle before, just from the other side. This Thor definitely doing some good work. Ogdenson in position here. Manages to degun down one of them. Ooh, the other demon not gonna have it though. Blasts away the commander with, I guess it's a flamethrower degun. Just as effective, just not quite as quick. Targets the advanced fusion reactor just like that. The base explodes in a glorious burst of light right there. Beautifully done. Thors effectively dealt with. Oh, well, okay. Nice EMP missile. Firing that bad boy off before he goes. Making sure that the yellow player is not going to be able to produce out of that lab, at least not for a time being. Thor's up on this hillside also being a tremendous pain. EMP missiles doing wonderfully to shut a whole lot of this down, paralyzing a lot of the units that otherwise would be able to clean this up. Just like that, those Thors have absolutely trashed the entire northern side of this map right here. Beautifully, beautifully done by Trims. Built up a fair amount of forces, sent them on through at just the right place and at just the right time. Just enough to deal critical damage here and blast away a whole bunch of the, a whole bunch of the production over here. At this point, the only thing really holding his side together is the T3 support that's been sent over by the Orange Commander, as well as those gunships that are already up in the sky. And for what it's worth, those gunships are catching a lot of these Vanguard right here. If we could get a Resbot lab up and running and just pumping out Resbots non-stop to pick up a lot of these Thors, I think we might defend the very next Thor attack. But already you can see the blue player has been well ahead of that curve, sends a whole bunch of Resbots out in mass to pick up a whole bunch of the T3 units that otherwise fell here. Going to be very tricky for the red team to find any angle to push back on this. Now, Thor's over on this side also blasting their way through this choke point. Would love to see them making their way up this hillside into the base of the red player. Not really anything to shut those Thors down over here. The red commander is nowhere to be seen. So it's not like Hexu is going to be, there he is. Not like Hexu is going to be able to degun those down. Karganeth doing a great job of firing a lot of these units, but there's so much T3 here, they're really just out of their element. You pretty much need a Juggernaut or a Behemoth at this point to deal with all that. Oh, speaking of Behemoth, there we are. There we go, just like that. You can see cleaving almost 50% off of that poor Mammoth. Oh, the Behemoth projectile is brutal. It's not a D-gun, it's close to it though. Just about as close as you can get on a unit that isn't a commander. One of the red players decides to tap out at this point. How many shots to bring down a demon? Looks like 4. Well, demon actually manages to dodge it. Very cool. Yeah, tricky. Behemoth, very tricky. You basically need it in position, otherwise it's never going to be able to effectively do its job. These Thors are looking relatively healthy. Hexu is moving into position, though. There we go. D-gun on one of them. Oh, Thor fires and brings down the commander, though, bringing the red team to just a single commander remaining. And there it is, River Run, the last commander standing here. Going to be able to hold the line or not, I don't know. A lot of Thors coming back online and sent over by the blue player. You can see those red spots hard at work, trying to patch up as many of these things as possible here. Very, very difficult to hold that engagement. Well, Behemoth is out. It's exactly the unit to clean this up. See, stripping away about, what was that, 18% off of that Thor? Thor pops some energy converters, but doesn't manage to bring down the build power right there. Absolutely phenomenal getting that behemoth out just barely in the nick of time right there. We immediately need support forces over here, though. Razorback gonna go down, but the Thors behind it will clean it all up quite nicely, and it looks like it's just enough pressure to concede the match here as the blue team manages to take victory in this game of Beyond All Reason. What a beautiful, beautiful push right there. Just getting up to T3, just enough force in order to break the front line, and then continuing to support with a little bit of an eco-greedy build in the back line right there from Trims. If you enjoyed this match, feel free to hit the like button down below, or maybe if you didn't like this match, you can hit the like button down below as well. But either way, you have to leave a comment and let me know what you thought about it as well, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, folks.